All right, how are we doing? I'm Andy Malfrina. This is Drag the Lake. We're doing an album review. So I just finished up listening to And Then There Was by Chubby and the Gang. And you could see my full album reaction on the DTL R&R channel. You can see it there. I had a really fucking good time listening to this album because I went into it knowing like a song or two, and something about the song really stuck out to me. It sat in that I've talked about it a bunch before on here, where the music sits in that vein of like 30-year-old punk rock, how I like the Menzingers and Joyce Manor and Fucked Up and bands like that, where they sort of touch on more adult issues. They have this melancholy feel, but also mixed with an uplifting vibe at the same time. And, there's just something about once you sort of like gotten into your 30s, you've been, slapped in the face a few times by certain aspects of life you weren't expecting. It's nice to curl up with a cold light beer and listen to some listen to some other adults talk about how shit's fucking annoying. So that out of the gate, it had that energy to it out of the gate. So it got me excited to listen to the album. A big thing out of the gate. This album reminded me, don't judge a book by its cover. I got to be perfectly honest. When I initially, I saw this band a while ago on something, and I got to be honest, out of the gate, seeing a band called Chubby and the Gang, there is a part of me that kind of like rolled my eyes initially. But then after finally listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, that's why we don't do that. That's why we don't do that, because like, I don't know. I'm not saying a band name's nothing, but there's been a lot of times where it's like the band name is irrelevant. It's like, what does the song sound like? Like, I made the joke in the reaction where I was like, if I truly cared about bands' names, if bands' names truly got in the way of me listening to the album, I mean, I wouldn't have had my ska phase in high school. You know what I mean? Like, there's some, in all genres, there's some brutal band names out there. But once you tap into the actual music, you just go, who gives a fuck? Let's just number all the bands. Like, we won't need a name anymore. Let's just number them. We'll start over. We'll start at one. Chubby and the Gang get one. And then we go from there. Other bands need to tap in and claim their number, because it really doesn't matter. Once you get into this fucking album, it kicks into high gear, and it takes you on such a lovely ride, because we go out. Here, wait, let me bring up the actual album to show you like the track listing and shit. But you go through a good fucking ride on this album. So out of the gate, we got the first like it has great pacing that I love, because like the first chunk of 7 songs, there's a few songs that slow down the tempo in here and there, but regardless of that, most of them are very fast, and whatever the tempo may be on all these songs, it's very in your face and aggressive, which is just, in my opinion, the best way to start a punk or punk adjacent album, to really get someone hooked in, and to just like, you grab them by the fucking ears and just go, we're going on a ride, dickhead, fucking strap in. And so they take you on a big ride, and then it's going strong. It's very fun. There's a lot of the broad scale of influence on this album was one of my favorite parts, because I think its home base is punk rock, but you get a lot of taste of like rock, like classic rock, blues, bluegrass. You got some like oi, some street punk stuff. Like I said, the base layer of this album is a punk album, but you just run the gamut of all these genres, and you get this very eclectic experience by the end of the album. So that's very nice. And then going back to talking about the pacing of it, we're going strong for the first 7. And this is why the reason I'm harping on pacing so much is because, you see 45 minutes in this day and age, sometimes the way bands approach albums, 45 minutes may be a bigger ass than it used to be back in the day. A lot of bands aren't they don't pay a strong attention to the album pacing, but that's not their fault. It's like the way we in this technological age consume music now, so the full album, most of us are listening to this shit on our phones. I listen to this on my computer. I can't tell you the last time I bought a physical record. You know what I'm saying? So like, we all consume it differently. So it's not the same necessity to approach your album the same way. So when a band like this does that, it gives me a good nostalgic feel. It makes me it makes me feel warm inside, and I appreciate it a lot more. So we go to song 8 to Fade Away. The energy, or maybe not energy, but I don't know if energy is the right word, but just the general vibe comes down. This song's very slow and drawn out and has like a sort of bouncy, slow feel to it. And it established itself as sort of a reset. To sort of go, okay, we've been hitting you hard for 7 songs. Let's reset everything and let's start over. And so they bring it down, and then the next couple songs slowly progressed. It slowly become this like slight progression in energy. And it's a great opportunity for the band to show you their other side. They're like more rock-oriented side. They're more blues-oriented side. And to give you a broader range of what they can do, which I think is great for bands like this, because a lot of punk bands, they sort of set themselves into like one lane, and they don't go outside of that too often. Chubby and the Gang do a whole different thing on this. They establish a lane, and they let you know, they're like, we can also be in many other lanes, and you will also enjoy every single fucking lane we're in. And they do that throughout the album. And then we have a slow rise at the end. And I forget exactly which ones it was, but a couple of these songs at the end, they do the thing that I fucking love that bands do, where at the end it's a slow build, and then they hit you with some big stuff, and then we can hit the dismount on a nice soft ballad. Yeah, man, it was great. I hope I'm not overhyping it to anyone. I think if you listen to this album, it'll be a 45 minutes well spent. I don't think you'll regret any moment of your day listening to this album. If you're a big fan of punk rock, but like that sort of punk rock that I've been listening to this music for a while, and I've been having trouble finding the exact term for it, because I just remember all the punk I used to listen to would be like very aggressive. There'd be a real fuck you, and which is fun. I still listen to shit like that to this day. But like just getting older, and I need more time, because I feel like I'm just exhausted more just through, all of us adults who try to be good, informed citizens. It's exhausting to be informed. It's exhausting sometimes to learn things. And then you're like, shit, it's fucking awful out there. I wish I didn't learn that. But I think as a good, productive citizen, that might, I would look at it as your fucking duty. Don't be a fucking dumb fuck. Go learn things. But like when that happens, and you're like me and you're listening to all this fucking aggressive hardcore music all the time, you need something that's just nice and that feels like a release and feels like a break from everything, but also feels like a good acknowledgement of those chaotic, hectic feelings you have. And I think on this album, And Then There Was by Chubby and the Gang, I think it really taps into that. So it becomes this thing I personally really like, really appreciate, and I think I'm going to be listening to this and this band in general for a couple more times. So if you haven't already, go check out Chubby and the Gang. They're very, very good. I slept on them for long enough, and now my eyes are wide open. I love these boys, and I think there's a lady in the band. So I love these people. And I love you people. Thank you for watching. I got a lot of content coming out this week. So subscribe. And then we got a podcast. And it's just a good time over here, dude. Please subscribe. And lady dudes. I love y'all. Have a good one. Be about it. Peace.